Yes, sir.
You're also employed.
Yes. I'm a law clerk at the law offices of Tony Seaton, where they have me do all sorts of different things, and I help them move along cases and help with focus groups, and basically anything they tell me to do, I'll do it.
Now, prior to this accident, before we talk about the night of the accident, you were employed where?
By the Johnson City Schools, and I work for EduCare.
And what did you do for EduCare?
It was an after-school program, and we watched the kids until their parents were able to come pick them up from work, and we played and ate snacks.
You had good recommendations and were well received as an employee there at EduCare.
I believe so.
You have no prior adult criminal record, is that correct?
That's correct.
You have juvenile traffic violations
Yes.
and a possession of marijuana paraphernalia, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were drinking and smoking pot the night of this accident, were you not?
Yes, sir, I was.
What happened?
It was the semester had ended, and we just thought we'd have a good time.
It was what, I'm sorry?
The semester had just ended, and we finished our last final, and I just wanted to go out and have a good time. So I went to a party and drank there, and then we smoked after the party.
And where were you going when the accident occurred?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. And you crashed the car.
Yes, sir.
Did you know what happened when the vehicle crashed, or?
I just remember being in the ambulance.
Okay. You don't have any memory of the actual facts?
No, sir.
How long had you known Tanner Wolf?
I've known him since probably 6th grade, but I wasn't really friends with him, but my brother was friends with his brother, and we were acquaintances.
How did you and he come to be together that night? How did you all socialize?
We were friends then, but we were both friends with Preston Morrison and Cameron Martin.
And those were the people who were going to the party?
Yes.
You were all together?
Yes, sir.
You knew each other? You had asked me to be able to express your feelings to Mr. and Mrs. Wolf.
Yes, sir.
What do you have to say about the situation?
I don't really know exactly how to apologize, but since the accident happened, I've been able to stop thinking about it, and any time I'm alone in the car, I have to turn the music all the way up just to not think about it. And at night I can't sleep, so I have to turn on the TV just to drown out my thoughts. I know that you guys probably hate me, and you have every right to, but I hope that one day you can forgive me. I'm so sorry. I honestly just don't know how to apologize.
Mr. Bales, we all recognize you have no way to make this go back in time and not happen. Looking forward, you've continued with your schooling and you've tried to find work. Why? What's your motive going forward?
I had talked to Tanner's mom previously, and she told me that I need to live twice the life for Tanner, and I owe my parents a lot of money for this, so I need to get the money.
I'm sorry, could you speak up just a little bit, Mr.
I had
Take your time to compose yourself, should you need.
I had to get a job to get money to pay back my parents, and I spoke to Tanner's mom once before, and she told me that I need to live twice a life for Tanner's sake.
You realize this is a felony and it won't come off your record?
Yes, yes, sir.
You're asking the court to put you on probation at whatever time the court deems appropriate, depending on what the court decides to sentence you.
Yes, sir.
You realize that the minimum of the statute requires 2 days in jail.
Yes, I do.
you're prepared to serve your time.
I am.
The only request, I think, is you're asking the court to let you report to jail for whatever period as soon as your semester's over, if you could finish your semester, but are prepared to go right now.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Are you a full-time student?
Yes.
Have you been in counseling since this?
I had to go see a counselor for school. That was required. And I saw a personal counselor for a month or two.
Okay. Now, the school had to clear you just to even be allowed to come back on campus, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
You've asked as part of this, because we talked about community service, that because of your special contacts with education, that you'd like to be able to talk to other young students, high school age, to talk to them about how bad this can happen and whatnot.
Yes, sir. That would be
And you've made arrangements with your employer that if you're able to work during your sentence as work release or afterwards on probation, that you'd be allowed to schedule those type of speaking things if at all possible.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I am truly sorry.
That's all
I'd like to
have.
apologize to Your Honor and to the prosecutor and the investigating officer for taking your time and any inconveniences I've caused.
That's all I have.
Cross-examination.
Mr. Bales, you were asked to fill out what we call a specific data report,
Yes, ma'am.
and you remember filling that out?
Not exactly.
I'm going to ask the bailiff to show you this, and you see if that's what you remember filling out.
Yes, ma'am, I do remember it now.
And one of the questions that it asked was about alcohol use.
Yes, ma'am.
And your statement is that that night was the first night that you had consumed alcohol?
No. I had done it before.
I'm sorry.
I had done it before. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, 2015 was the first, in 2015
Oh.
was the first time that you consumed alcohol?
Yes, ma'am, that was.
And you stopped consuming alcohol after?
Exactly.
And there was a section on, further down that page, and it asks you about your current drug use, and you left that blank.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it talked about your past drug use.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you left that blank.
Yeah.
But you have previously used
I
marijuana.
have smoked marijuana before. Yes, ma'am.
And in July of, actually, in January of 2014, you had a falling too close, you had an accident.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were given a restricted driver's license from March to May of that year.
That's correct.
And then 2 months later, in July of 2014, you had a failure to use or exercise due care,
Yes.
and you had a simple possession of Schedule 6
Yes, ma'am.
and possession of paraphernalia.
Yes, ma'am.
You completed some alcohol and drug counseling,
Yes, ma'am.
and then that was released. You were released.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
So, on the past drug use, so marijuana would have been one of your past drug uses?
Correct.
And when did you first start using the marijuana?
Start of senior year of high school, so 2014, end of 2014.
And did you use marijuana and then drive?
I had before, yes.
Had you done that when you, on July the 31st, when you had the failure to use due care?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were using marijuana when you had a wreck?
Yes, ma'am.
Was anybody in the vehicle?
No, not, I'm sorry, but not when I had the wreck.
Okay. But prior to that?
Yes. I
Had
had.
you used it that
I-
day?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I was confused. I'm sorry.
That's okay. If you get confused with a question, you take your time and answer the question. okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I have no problem with that. Okay, let's talk about the events that occurred on December the 11th. And Your Honor, we would ask that the precincts report be made and part of the exhibit and the update to the juvenile record.
All right, I have made notes on mine. Do you have a clean copy?
I do.
All right. Any objections, Mr. James?
No objection.
Exhibit 1 will be
Collectively, there's an update to it also, so.
that includes the questionnaire.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, collective exhibit 1 will be the investigative report by the Department of Corrections along with the questionnaire completed by Mr. Bales.
On December the 1st, do you remember going to Taft Simmons' house?
December 1st?
No, 11th.
Okay.
Sorry, 1st, I'm
No,
sorry.
ma'am, I do not.
Okay. Do you remember